Greetings, mighty companions.
Hello, friends and family. How are you doing? Here we are again on another Tuesday night, A Course in Miracle time.
This is what we do on Tuesday nights.
And Mondays.
And Mondays and Sundays. You might guess we love A Course in Miracles.
And we've noticed that several of you do too.
Yeah.
Because we see your names show up every week, every night with us, and we appreciate it so much. Speaking of one of our constant companions, Peter is here already.
One of our mighty companions, Peter. Lovely to see your name.
Yes.
So here we are, and Greg and I are doing, this is our Transforming Relationships Through A Course in Miracles. Okay? Because that's what we've done, and that's what we're doing, and that's what keeps our relationship growing and thriving and healing. And A Course in Miracles is what keeps our relationship. We keep having a relationship through A Course in Miracles where it gets better and better and better, where miracles become a natural thing.
It used to be other people would ask if, how lucky we really are.
Yeah, are you guys just lucky?
And now sometimes I want to ask myself that.
But the truth is that there's no luck to it. This is a course in miracles. This is a curriculum in how to have an experience where miracles are as natural as breathing. And imagine having a relationship like that. Imagine having a relationship where miracles are natural, where, I'll say to Greg, what are the odds that this Airbnb was available still for 2 months? What's the odds? And Greg goes, for us, really good. So because miracles are natural, we've come to experience that in our relationship.
And isn't it nice to know that, it seems like in the world, some people get more of the luck than some of the other people get. Like, you could look at our life right now and go, good morning, Ram. You could look at our life and go, wow, it just seems like everything flows just perfect for you. Well, I'd be happy too if everything went just so smoothly for me. And A Course in Miracles, if you break the title down, that's really what it is. It's a course in happiness. A course in things going smooth. The way that you and I have learned to do it, things don't go smooth because we're constantly projecting out into our experience a horrible experience because it's what we believe we deserve.
It's what we expect.
And it's what we expect.
Yeah. And so this is a course in miracles. And A Course in Miracles has a lot to say about relationships. As a matter of fact, relationships are actually the cornerstone of the curriculum of A Course in Miracles. And so it has a lot to say about the value and the necessity of relationships to Spirit and Spirit's goal of healing the planet. It actually says that the relationships that we have, Spirit wants our relationships because it's our relationships that Spirit uses to heal the planet. Imagine that, right?
And uses our relationship to demonstrate what God intends for all of
everybody
us to have.
Yes, everybody.
A life full of joy, contentment,
abundance, peace, safety. That's what God wants for everybody, and Spirit uses our relationships in order to demonstrate that to all of mankind. Okay, so, all right, so we're going to do, we let Spirit choose through the random number generator app what we are going to read. And so it looks like we're going to be in the text. And so we say, Spirit, decide for us what we need to hear from A Course in Miracles. You know us best. And then we go tap. And it is chapter
number
7. Lucky number 7.
I'm actually happy to hear that because I was so lately the random number generator hasn't been so random
at all.
And last night Anna's class downtown Denver. She did random number generator, and it gave her the same number.
Same section, same
It's a
chapter.
pretty big book.
It's a really big book.
And the random number generator scrambles and scrambles and comes up with the same number that it came up with the week before.
The week before.
But then one of the students in class mentioned that we didn't even get close to
finish.
being done the week before. And so it was like Spirit's way of saying,
Let's finish.
yeah, just pick back
Why
up
don't you just finish that section?
where we were at.
I love it. And that's what we did. All right. So as you see, it's the never random number generator. Okay. So why don't you hit the randomize button?
So there's 11.
And
number 8.
8.
So we're going to be in chapter 7.
Chapter 7, section 8 in the blue covered edition.
The blue covered tonight.
Which is what we call the Foundation for Inner Peace version.
And I'm going to see if I can find it while we're scrolling around.
Oh, I love it. The
What is
Unbelievable Belief.
The Unbelievable Belief.
And I know it's not interesting. It's not the same title, but are you in chapter 7? Yeah. Okay. So the first line. So this is chapter 7, section 8, and it's called the Unbelievable Belief. What is that? The Unbelievable Belief. What could that be?
Did you know there's a belief that is unbelievable?
Yeah. All right. And the first line.
It is the same.
No. Here's the first. Here's the first sentence. And the first line is, we have said that without projection there can be no anger. What? Without projection there can be no anger. Are you saying that anger is projection? You can't have anger without projection. Are you angry? That implies projection. Right. Wow. My belief is when I'm angry, that's when I believe I'm the most right. And of Course in Miracles is saying, actually, when you're angry, that's when you're most wrong. That's when you're projecting.
Well, just think of what projection is. I mean, projection is what gives us all the information that we think we have.
Exactly. Wow. So,
I'm going to look while you
okay, great. So I'm going to start. And so we are in chapter, 7, section 8, The Unbelievable Belief, in the blue covered edition, which is the Foundation for Inner Peace version.
And if anybody is able to, and it's peaceful for you to do it, type in chapter 7, blue book edition, section 8.
Yes, thank you for that. Hi, Jeannie, lovely to see you. Hi, Diane, lovely to see you. And hi, Ram. And Ram is asking that we would translate it into Hindi.
We'll work on that. It won't happen soon, probably.
We're still working on learning English. So we were just in Mexico, and that was an incredible challenge.
Yes, trying to learn Spanish.
Course in Miracles teachers in Mexico. That was an interesting challenge.
We never got that, so.
Yeah, so anyway, but we can pass that request along, Ron. We're going to pass that request along to Spirit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Spirit.
then maybe, who knows?
I mean, look, we don't put any limits on Spirit's
Never
ability.
limit Spirit.
Okay, here we go. The Unbelievable Belief. We have said that without projection there can be no anger, but it is also true that without extension there can be no love. Why? Because projection and extension reflect a fundamental law of the mind, which means a fundamental law that always operates. All right, we're talking about fundamental law in the universe. And what's that fundamental law? That your mind is either projecting or extending all the time. Your mind is either going out with extension, extension of love or it's projecting what you believe. And that's a fundamental law of the mind. Your mind and thought is always going forth. It's always going forth. Your thoughts never stay in just your mind alone. And that's the truth. There are no private thoughts.
And they never stop.
And they never stop.
While you're sleeping, your mind is still going.
That's exactly right.
Hey Zen, thanks for joining.
Absolutely. Hi, sweetie. Good to see you. He says that projection or extension is a fundamental law of mind that always operates. So whatever your mind is conceiving, it is extending or projecting. The theme we've been learning, there are no private thoughts. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of what I'm thinking, the effects of what I'm seeing. Yeah. And now he says, now if you really knew that, if you really knew that you have no private thoughts and you are not alone in experiencing the effects of your seeing at all, of Course in Miracles says you would be not so tolerant of mind wandering. If you knew that whatever you're thinking, whatever you're experiencing, somebody else is experiencing with you, you might be a little more like, let me notice what I'm thinking. Is this really what I want to be offering to mankind? Is this really what I want to be giving to others? Really? Is it? I don't know. So that's one of the blessings of remembering that we have no private thoughts. Whatever it is that you're thinking is going forth. It's not staying in your mind alone. Now, it says this fundamental law of thinking.
Irene, we're in chapter 7 of the Blue Book edition, and section number 8.
Which is called the unbelievable belief. Okay? And it says that this law, this fundamental law of the mind, is the law by which you create and were created. This fundamental law of the mind, it is the law that unifies reality and keeps everything in the mind of God. All right, we're talking about a fundamental law of mind. That sounds pretty important. That sounds pretty fundamental. And it says, to the ego, this fundamental law of mind is perceived as a means of getting rid of something it doesn't want. Okay? To the ego, it's like, oh, the fundamental law of mind, I don't like what I'm thinking, I'm going to project it out and get rid of it and see it in them and that instead of me.
Or as it says here, that it's extending.
Yeah.
So projecting and extending out.
Exactly. The ego projects and our spirit extends. So the ego uses the fundamental law of mind to get rid of something that it doesn't want. So the ego is all about projecting. Okay? So the ego's like, I don't like the way I feel right now. I don't like this about myself. I'm going to project it out, which means see it in everyone and everything besides myself. Okay?
So it seems like in projection that we're extending.
It seems like it.
It seems like
but
that we're extending because in projection, look around us. We can see everything that we're seeing, and so it seems like we're creating.
Right.
But we're
not.
Perhaps not.
And to our spirit, our higher self, the fundamental law of mind is the law of sharing, by which we give what we value in order to keep it in our mind. So there's a fundamental law of the mind going on. And the ego's like, oh, goody. That means I'm going to use this fundamental law of mind to get rid of what I don't want and see it in everybody else. And spirit's like, and I am going to use this fundamental law of mind to share with others what I value so that I can keep it. So spirit's like, I want to keep love. I want to keep peace. I want to keep innocence. It makes me feel better. So I'm going to give the peace and the love and the forgiveness that I'm going to share that so I can keep it. And the ego's like, I'm going to project what I don't like in order to get rid of it. Okay? Both the ego and our higher self are using the same fundamental law of the mind. They're just using it for different purposes.
Mm-hmm.
But both of them, but the fundamental law of mind is whatever is going on in your mind is going to move forth from your mind to others. Okay? Okay. Then it says, to our higher self, the Holy Spirit, it says this fundamental law of mind is the law of extension. To the ego, this fundamental law of mind is the law of deprivation. And so the ego therefore produces, and so this fundamental law of mind either produces abundance or scarcity depending on how you choose to apply this fundamental law of mind. Now the choice is up to you. How are you going to use this fundamental law of mind? Whatever you're thinking, it's gonna move from you to the world. How are you going to use it? The choice is up to you. But it's not up to you to decide whether or not you're going to use this fundamental law of mind. In other words, every mind must project or extend. Because extending or projecting is how the mind lives, and every mind is life. Wow. So the mind is not something that stays contained. You know, your mind is not something that is contained within your body. Your mind is something that's always moving forth. It's always extending or projecting. Your mind isn't contained within your brain. Your mind isn't contained within your body. Mind is something that extends or projects. That's the nature of life. Life is not something that can be contained. You cannot be contained. We cannot be contained. What we are is something that always is expanding and extending or projecting. That's the nature of life. Wow.
So life comes from yours and my thoughts, from our mind, and how interesting. It's like our mind is like the water of the universe.
Yes.
It's watering and giving allowance for things to come into existence. I love that sentence at the beginning where it says, it is the law by which you create and were created.
Yeah.
We're told in A Course in Miracles that you and I are a thought in the mind of God.
That was extended forth.
Right.
That's how we were created. God had a thought, and that thought couldn't be contained, and that thought extended forth. And that was us. That's how we were born. That's how we were created.
And so naturally we would be creating the same way Creator creates, in the same way we were created.
Exactly. And it's good to know how you were created, and it's good to know how you create, just in case you were wanting to create something. Maybe you want to create a new life. Maybe you want to create a miracle. Maybe you want to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. And as a matter of fact, the Course in Miracles says you were created to create. And unless you are creating, unless the thoughts that are in your mind are moving forth from your mind to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy, then you are not being what you were created to be, and you won't experience the fulfillment of being what you are. So it's good to hear about, I was created to be a creator. That's how I was created. I was created to be a creator. And unless I'm creating, I won't know what I am, and I won't experience fulfillment. Am I creating, or am I projecting? Okay, we were created by extension, not projection.
At the beginning of the class here, we were talking about we're here in our new residence. It's a long story, but we have a residence in the mountains of an Airbnb that we just laughed about, saying that we put off for several weeks praying about, asking Spirit, should we get it, waiting for Spirit's direction. And this whole time it stayed available, and the price went down.
Both very strange.
And we secured the rental for the next 2 months. The thing that we were saying at the beginning of the class was not bragging about our life, but bragging about our life through A Course in Miracles. Mm-hmm. Exactly what it says here is the ego is nothing but a belief system, right? Mm-hmm. The ego is a thought. Mm-hmm. It's a thought in our mind. And in the middle of paragraph 1 here, we heard, to the ego, the law, this law in our mind, what our mind is doing, is a law of depriving ourselves. It's always telling us we don't deserve something. You don't deserve that. You don't deserve to be happy.
You don't deserve anything.
You don't deserve anything
except
but
to
punishment.
suffer.
To suffer and to be punished. That's what the ego is a belief in the mind. And then we hear right after that, it therefore produces this law, abundance or scarcity, depending on how you choose to apply the law.
The fundamental law of the mind.
Right. If you use the mind the way it's supposed to be used, you will be experiencing abundance.
Exactly.
If you use the law the way it was not intended by Creator, you will be experiencing a life depriving yourself of joy, of happiness, of peace, of contentment. And the neat thing is you can change it.
Right.
Just like you can turn off the hot water on the sink and turn on the cold if you want something else.
Exactly.
You can change it just like that, just by changing how you're using your mind.
Exactly. Like the so-called fundamental law of gravity. You can use gravity for abundance, or you can use gravity for scarcity. Same law, but different use. So your mind is always extending. Your mind is always extending because that's how your mind was created. How do you want to use the extension of your mind? Do you want to use that law to project what you don't like, what you want to get rid of? Or do you want to use that fundamental law of mind to extend as you were extended, to love and to give as you were loved and you were provided for? How do you want to use that? That's the question. All right, paragraph 2. Hi, Irene. Beautiful. Irene says the ego is nothing but a belief system that creates abundance or scarcity. Exactly. Beautiful. And Sophia says.
Now, the ego, I think that was just a typo because I know Irene knows, but the ego does not create abundance. Only abundance it creates is abundant garbage.
Exactly. Right on.
But depending on how we use the law of our mind, we're going to either go with the ego's belief system, which is going to create scarcity, or we're going to create abundance by using our mind as it was intended to.
Exactly. I love that. If we use our minds in accordance with the way that our minds were created, if we use the fundamental law of mind as it was intended, the outcome is only abundance. And if we are experiencing deprivation or scarcity or lack in any way in our life, it means we are misusing the fundamental law of mind. In other words, instead of extending the love that I am, I'm projecting what I don't like. You know, sometimes we sit there and complain about what we don't like, and we blame others for what we don't like. Okay? That's projection. Okay? That's using the fundamental law of mind to project what we don't like and to blame what we don't like on others. Now, the other way, the other option is we could be like, hey, I have a very powerful mind. I was created by love. I have love in my mind. What would I like to experience? What would I like to experience in my life that's loving and joyful and abundant? And how can I help everybody else to have that too?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so one use of the law of mind is blaming and projecting what you don't like, blaming and complaining.
Let's give a good example.
Yeah, let's do.
Okay, so we have our mind.
Mm-hmm.
You got your mind, I got my mind. Everybody do a
He's
mind
the one
check.
mind. You got your mind. Do you have your right mind?
And just any normal day like today, you know, Anna and I ordered some things on Best Buy, and we're really hoping that our new tablet would come in before tonight's class.
Mm-hmm.
And we also ordered a cover for the tablet to keep it protected and everything. Well, it came in from the same place, but in two different deliveries. The cover came on time, but the tablet didn't. Now, our mind can get upset about. Now, that's just a little tiny example in life, but that's how it works, is whatever comes to us in our day are constant opportunities of how are you going to use your mind. In other words, what belief system are you going to put your mind in? Are you going to put your mind in the belief system that, oh, the tablet didn't come in on time?
God dang it!
Dang it!
God dang it!
And
How come it?
now I'll throw a fork across the room and get upset. And again, this is just a little example, but you know what I mean. When things don't go what? The way that we think they should go, then our mind starts dictating to get upset, to get angry, to start judging people, blaming.
Amazon.
That UPS driver,
And
what's wrong with
UPS.
him? He on another donut break or what? Or when the cover came in, I looked at, I happened to be on the driveway when the guy showed up, and I said, well, don't you have a second package? And he said, nope, that's it.
No.
If you have something else, it must be coming from another truck. And my mind immediately is thinking, what a waste of gas.
That's ineffective.
That is not very effective.
And that was Greg using the power of his mind for projection.
Now, I will say, that's the mind, the reason those thoughts are coming up is because that's how our mind was trained. But not because Greg is great, not because the name Greg rhymes with great, but because I've been doing A Course of Miracles, I no more than a few seconds later turned away from the driver. I really did, and I just took the package, and I thanked Holy Spirit. I got part of the order, and I just thank Spirit that things are going the way they're supposed to go.
Exactly.
And we don't have to understand it. You know, why didn't the other package come on the same delivery truck? You know, why would they send another truck? That seems, and coming up with all these
so
reasons.
much incompetence,
all
blah,
these
blah, blah.
reasons to be able to judge and condemn the situation.
Project.
But don't be bothered that you do that, because we're all doing that. Be bothered if you don't stop yourself doing that.
Exactly.
When you catch yourself doing it and then you turn off that spigot on the sink, that boiling hot water that you're getting ready to pour onto your experience, turn that off and turn the other one on, which is coming back to the mind, that the belief system that you want to operate under, which is all of the things under truth. Everything is helpful. Everything is working out for my good and purposes, for my joy and for my happiness.
Even if I can't understand
Even
it.
if I can't see it, even if I don't get it. And as soon as I can come back to that mind, then that's the creation that I'm asking for. That's the experience that I'm asking for. And the only reason Anna and I seem like we're so abundant in our life, more and more lately, is because more and more lately we are applying the correct mindset to our daily experience.
Exactly. Beautiful. And while you were talking, I saw our mind as a power generator. That's what our mind is. It like generates power. It's like it generates an amazing amount of power. It's like a powerful generator, unlimited generator. Our mind is an unlimited generator of power. Now, here's an unlimited generator of power. Now, if you decide to use this unlimited generator of power called your mind and your thoughts for fear, for anger, for projection, then you're going to be having an unlimited power generator generating blame and projection and attack into your life. That's a lot of power, you know. And now if you use this unlimited power generator for the purpose of extending love and gratitude, even when you don't understand, then you're going to be generating some serious love power into your life. You know, it's the same power. It's the same generating power. It's just depending on how you do it, kind of like nuclear power.
I was waiting for you to give me an opportunity to jump in, and I was going to say, kind of like nuclear power. You can either light up the whole city, or you can
destroy the whole city. You can either light up the city, or you can destroy the whole city. That's how your mind is. That's how powerful our minds are. The fundamental law of mind is that your mind has power. Your mind is power. It's generating. It's powerful. And it never sleeps.
Never sleeps.
And it never sleeps. The power of your mind never sleeps.
And it's never short of power just because,
never.
You know, we didn't have enough employees show up at the plant today.
Exactly. And if your life seems like it is full of deprivation and scarcity and lack, all you're seeing is how powerful your mind is to produce whatever you want to see. That's all you're seeing. You're not seeing like there's a lack in the universe and God is cruel and da-da-da. All you're seeing is, look how powerful your mind is. Oh my God, my life sucks. All I have is deprivation and lack and scarcity in my life. Wow, your mind's so powerful. You have made scarcity seem real when scarcity ain't real. That's really powerful. Wow, your mind's powerful. Your mind has made scarcity look real when it ain't. That's powerful. Wow. All right. Then paragraph 2. So our ego's use of projection must be fully understood before the inevitable association between projection and anger can be finally undone.
If we don't understand it,
you can't
it's not just that Anna and I are like crackheads for A Course in Miracles. we are hooked on this because we really, I can speak for both of us because I know both of us, we're really hooked on this doing 3 classes a night plus all the reading we do during the week and stuff, because once you experience the transition of the power plant, what you can do with this power plant, once you start seeing it, you're like, man, I want to experience more of that.
What else can it do?
And then you go through the week and it doesn't go right. And you're like, what? But then you realize it's not the fault of the world outside of me. It's the fault of the mind in inside them.
How we use the power of our mind, our thought.
And this is so critical. This first sentence of paragraph 2 is that until we finally understand it, how did it say it here? The ego's use of projection must be fully understood, not partially understood, not a little bit understood, not a Sunday morning understanding, but fully understood. Until it's fully understood, then we can't finally fully undo it.
And really use the real power of our minds to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. So it's almost like I need to understand the relationship between projection and my anger. Okay, it's like I still think my anger is like, I can't believe you did that. I am perceiving correctly, and I'm pissed. And this is saying, no, you need to understand that what you're upset about, what you're angry about, is what you're projecting. Anger means projection. Of Course in Miracles says, anger means projection. Are you angry? It's because you are projecting the cause of your experience onto something outside of yourself. That's what anger means. Anger means, I'm not responsible. My mind did not create that. That just happened to me. They did that to me. And that ain't right.
And they need to be punished.
Okay, that's what anger means. Now, when you know the true power of your mind, what you know is, wow, my mind is powerful. I was having anger, and so look what happened. I manifested somebody who didn't treat me right. Okay, so he's saying you got to understand the relationship between anger and projection. Anger means projection. Okay, if I wasn't projecting, then I'd be like, wow, look at what I did to myself. Look at what I chose for myself again. Called for love. Wow, I didn't believe I deserved love today, and so look what I manifested. Okay, call for love. Spirit, could you please correct that for me? Thank you. Okay, so we have to understand the relationship between projection and our anger, so that we can stop projecting our anger and creating destructive results in our lives. Okay. Hi, Shahira, Trisha. Greg, I know what you're saying about addicted to the Course.
And also Sophia said the same thing. I'm addicted to the truth also.
Yes.
Before a lot of you even came into the classroom, we were laughing at the very beginning of when we pushed the play button, that we're just so grateful for all of you that, I think it's quite amazing that we show up every Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. But I find it even more amazing that so many of you consistently do it.
It's like, wow.
And so, yes, it's obvious we're all in the same addicted to truth class.
Exactly. The Course in Miracles addicts find the other Course in Miracles addicts.
Yeah,
right?
We all hang out at the same God's bar together.
God bar.
Taking more shots of truth together. I love it.
Yes. And our lives get better together.
Getting drunk on happy.
Amen to that. I love it. There's a drunk that doesn't have any cost or any negative effects. I love it. Shahira says, I show up to experience heaven. Right on. Beautiful. Okay, so A Course in Miracles is saying the ego's use of projection has got to be fully understood before the inevitable association between projection and anger can be finally undone. Okay, and what's the inevitable association between anger and projection? The Course in Miracles says anger is projection. Now, if you want to undo your anger, you got to see it's a projection. That's the truth. Are you done with this anger? Has it hurt your life enough? Has it hurt you enough? Has it made deprivation and lack painful enough in your life? Are you done with it? Okay, then you got to see that anger is projection.
Because we have it backwards.
Oh, yeah.
We think anger comes to us.
Oh, yeah.
Where anger is projection, we sent it out.
Right.
Maybe we sent it out by judging that UPS driver this afternoon. Maybe we sent it out by, getting upset at somebody.
There's so many times we get angry throughout the day.
Yeah, and then when we do, all we did was plant a seed to receive the same like kindness back.
Exactly.
I want some anger? Well, I'll plant some anger.
Right.
I'll give somebody else some anger, and that will assure me that I'm going to get some anger back.
And it's exactly the next line. So exactly what you're saying is the next line. The ego always tries to preserve the conflict.
Yes.
Through the projection, through the anger.
Yep.
Anger is the ego trying to preserve the upset.
Right.
Okay. Now, if I didn't really want the conflict anymore, I'd be like, I wonder why I chose this again. Okay, I wonder why it is that this is showing up. I wonder why I asked for this. I wonder what this is showing to me about my own ego. Okay, that's somebody who's tired of the conflict. Okay, but the ego isn't tired of the conflict. The ego is addicted to conflict. We're addicted to Course in Miracles. Ego is addicted to conflict, and the ego wants conflict. The ego's always trying to preserve the conflict. That's why the ego is always projecting the anger. That's why the ego is never like, I wonder why I attracted this again. The ego is always like, you are making me feel the way I'm feeling. You are responsible for what I'm experiencing, and now you need to pay.
I had a good friend this week that came to me, shut the door, one of those closed meeting doors, and asked me, and this was from the heart, not joking around, how much vengeance can I give somebody without God getting upset with me? Because if you knew what they did.
You too.
And I said to this person, well, how much vengeance do you want to experience?
Ooh.
And this is talking about the same thing, as that's how the ego preserves itself.
It preserves conflict.
You feel like somebody that some vengeance came to you.
Someone hurt you,
made you upset and angry. So what's the natural response? You want to naturally, it just makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes.
You want to naturally give back what you felt like you were given.
Exactly.
But what heaven says is, put on the brakes.
Yeah.
Stop right there.
Yes.
And what I had mentioned to her is, hey, you can't fix hate with more hate.
Yes.
You can't pour some hate into the bottle of hate and think you're going to stir it up and there's going to be something different. It's still going to be hate.
Exactly.
You're not going to fix vengeance by pouring more vengeance into the recipe.
Exactly.
The only way you're going to fix it is to pour something completely different that it doesn't already have in the mixture. And so that's where we're going to, I'm sure, be going.
Absolutely. And also, I remember you telling me that story, and when Greg told me what he said, I was like, wow, that's pretty loving and very brave. And that, you said to her, what you think that they did to you is what you have done. And the reason it's seeming to happen to you, is because that's what you had given in the past. In other words, your anger with them about what they did is projection of what you had done in the past. And I remember the person was like, and she said, I know you're right.
Yep.
She said, I know you're right.
So don't be mad when the mailman, the UPS deliverer of the universe, seems like it was slow in delivering the package that you're
Yes, exactly. Anger is always associated with projection. So whenever you're angry, let's say you're angry right now, if you don't like the effects of the anger, which is deprivation, scarcity, pain, sickness, aloneness, and all the other negative things you complain about, if you don't like the effects of the anger in your life, then stop projecting it. Take responsibility for it and ask yourself, what is it, where is it that I have done this? Where is it that I have done this before? Would I condemn myself for doing that? And that ends the association between the projection and the anger. You know, instead of going, look what you did to me, now you're going, have I ever done this before? Have I ever done this before? Have I ever done this before? And felt guilty about it? Oh, yes, many times. Okay, that breaks the association between the projection and the anger, and it cures the anger. And now you don't have the anger that's producing the deprivation and the scarcity and the pain and suffering in your life.
And sometimes we might think, let's say somebody cheated on you, and you say, well, I've never done that.
I would have never done that.
I've never done that.
Oh,
well,
really?
one of the ways that you have invited that is when you heard somebody done that, you casted a judgment on the situation.
Yes, indeed.
And as soon as we're judging, as soon as we're condemning, I can't tell you how many people I know that have said to people, you got divorced? That is so selfish.
How could you?
What about your kids? I mean, really, come on. And 5 years later, this same person that's condemning you of what you've done finds themselves in divorce court.
Exactly.
And again, it's always, the course is always asking us, what do you want? Figure out what you want. And then work from that basis.
Exactly.
That lady that I was talking to, my friend the other day, what really turned the boat around for her was asking her, I said, I want you to close your eyes for a moment and just think, how do you feel right now about this? And she started, I said, I want you to vocalize out loud for me how you feel about it. And she was, trying not to cry and share how it made her feel, how hurt it made her feel, the situation that she just experienced. And I said, now, I know that you think it would make you happier or feel better if they felt that way and you get some kind of vengeance on them. But I want you to really think about this feeling and ask yourself, do I want to feel this again later down the road? Or do I want to cut this off right now and end this story? Do I want to experience it again later, or do I want to end it now? And to end it now, you're going to have to end it for that other person and you together. And that's really what turned it around for her, is realizing, what came is because I asked for it before, and now I have the opportunity to ask for it again, or to finally
choose
stop
something
this
else.
pattern.
Choose once again, stop the pattern.
Stop the pattern.
And you stop the pattern when you go, hey, my anger is a projection. That's how you stop the pattern. That's how you stop preserving the conflict, right? That's, to preserve the pattern is to preserve the conflict. And the conflict keeps on going because you don't realize that your anger is a projection of what you don't like about yourself or what you have done and feel guilty about. And until you recognize that the anger is a projection, then the conflict keeps on going on, and you go, I've got this pattern. So the only way to stop the pattern is to recognize the projection that is going on.
How many of us say to ourselves, man, how come I always pick somebody that seemed to cheat on me? How come?
Why?
They're always doing that.
Is that just because that's the way women are?
Yeah, is that the way men are?
They always cheat? But I guess that's the way men and women are. They just cheat.
And what we just heard, the ego, the belief system that we deserve punishment, which is what the ego is a belief system. And it's a belief system that believes that we deserve punishment, always tries to preserve itself. It's always trying. You can see in her story how the ego, the belief system that she deserves punishment was trying to preserve itself by now give back him some vengeance.
And projecting onto him the cause of it.
Right.
Not recognizing that she was projecting it.
Exactly.
And so until we go, my anger is a projection of what I don't like about myself or what I think I have done.
Taking responsibility.
Then that pattern will continue.
Take responsibility.
Exactly. Beautiful. The Course in Miracles says to ask yourself this: would I crucify myself for doing that? It literally says to ask yourself that actual question. Well, they hurt me, and they didn't respect me, they betrayed me. Okay, would I crucify myself anytime I have betrayed somebody? Oh, I betrayed people before. Well, do you want to crucify yourself for that? No, I don't want to be crucified just because I made the mistake of crucifying somebody or whatever, betraying somebody. Well, then don't do it to them. Right. And the reason you're experiencing that so-called betrayal or attack is because you did it. And you felt guilty about it and you didn't forgive it. And that's why it seems to be happening to you. So take back that projection, forgive it, and then the pattern will stop.
A thought that came to me last night in Anna's class that I've never had before. I used to read and study the Bible in my younger days quite a bit. And in the Bible we hear a story about how Jesus was crucified. They were projecting onto Jesus, projecting, and they crucified him. And I believe it was 30 years later that Jerusalem itself was crucified. Not to where it was said that not one stone was remaining on top of another. It was destroyed. And it's the same thing. It's always the same thing. Once you start noticing
the connection,
these connections
between the projection and the anger,
you'll see it all over the place. You'll see it in other people's lives really easy.
Yes.
And you'll start recognizing it and connecting the dots in your own life. And then that's why I say you'll instantly get the negative thoughts, and then you'll realize, oh, why would I do this to myself?
Yes.
And then you'll turn about face the other direction and you'll let go of it because it's not what you want.
Exactly. So true. And Shahira, I love what you're saying. Shahira's like, my anger is projection. I have maintained this conflict until today. Tonight I take responsibility. I forgive this. I am innocent. Right on, Shahira. That is how you do it. That's how you break a pattern. That's how you break a pattern. And this is how you break the pattern, the association between anger and projection, okay?
And Irene asked a question over here on the other screen. Yes, but what about forgiving the character? What does that create?
And she says, yes, but what about forgiving the cheater?
The cheater, I'm sorry. I don't have my glasses on. The cheater, what does that create? Well, what a great question.
Yeah, really. When you forgive the cheater, what does that create? What does that create? It means I forgive the part of me that I perceive was the cheater. And then guess what? I don't manifest the cheater anymore. I don't manifest myself as a cheater, and I don't manifest them as the cheater. Shahir says, what cheater? You know, the one who betrayed you.
In a relationship.
In a relationship, you know. What happens to that, you know? It's like, okay, let's say there's a cheater. They cheated on me. Okay? Okay, and I'm pissed. And I'm asking Greg.
I'm more than
I'm
pissed.
asking Greg, how much can I get vengeance without God being mad at me? Because they cheated on me and now I'm pissed and I want vengeance.
And I'm hurt.
And I'm hurt.
I can't.
I really hurt.
I'm losing sleep.
I hurt.
I can't function
I can't
during the
hurt.
day because I just have this loop
Yes.
playing in my head constantly
Exactly.
of how I trusted this person,
Yes.
how I thought we had a solid
Yes.
relationship,
Yes.
how I thought this, how I thought that, how I
Yes.
thought this,
Yes.
and all of a sudden now they made a fool of me.
Yeah, they've made a fool of me.
Maybe they've even embarrassed me
Yes.
that other
Same
people
thing.
have known about it also.
Yes, right. Exactly.
And that's really seems to be a tough one. That's the one that ego wants to bring us and go, well, you can't fix that.
Mhm.
And
Exactly. The ego wants to preserve that grievance.
yeah,
Exactly.
I have a friend. We have a mutual friend that we know that had a cheating situation in their life where they walked into the actual act of what happened to them with their mate, and who their mate was with was a very
A family member.
close family member.
Oh, ouch.
And so now you don't just
Ouch.
have the mate, you got the family.
Oh.
What?
Ouch.
And the court wants me to forgive?
Oh, no.
Oh, come on.
Mm-mm,
No, we're not going to
no,
just
no,
do
no, no.
vengeance. We're going to get a double barrel shotgun. I know why they made a double barrel shotgun now.
Mhm.
It has two barrels, there's two people. And so, to be honest, I didn't know what to say to this person. You know, when this came up, I was like thinking, oh yeah, vengeance.
That kind of is justified.
Yeah, this is kind of justified. And luckily, Spirit was channeling through Anna and said, well, what do you think of your life right now? Well, I love my life right now. Oh, really? Why do you love your life? Well, because I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this. Oh, really? Well, would you be doing this and be doing that? What you've always wanted to do if you were still in relationship with that person? Because of what happened, that person released you to go on in your life with something else.
Exactly.
And it seemed painful at first because you thought it was horrible.
Right.
But now looking back, look where you're at now.
Yes.
And you could have seen this person, like their eyes were like, you're so right. I mean,
I would have never had the life
I
I'm
would
living
never
right now
have
if
this
that
life.
person hadn't cheated.
oh, and they literally went in 2-second flash, thanking those people, literally out loud.
Thank you, cheaters.
Thank you, cheaters.
Thank you, betrayers.
I would never be where I'm at now.
Thank you, adulterers.
Oh, wow. I should send you flowers. And they were being serious.
For real. I mean,
And so-
tears of joy release.
Yes. We don't realize the course isn't like this. The course isn't like everything is working out for good. Oh, except for when that happened. But don't worry to get better. No.
Eventually.
It's not what it says.
Right.
It says that everything, all the time,
Yeah.
is always great.
It's working out for your
working out
good.
good. It doesn't matter if you can see it.
Everything is happening for your own best interest.
It doesn't matter if your eyesight can only see this far and you
That's
can't
right.
see as far as heaven
That's
can.
right. Exactly. And if you knew that everything was happening for your own best interest, what would happen to your anger? What would happen to that desire for revenge that's hurting you, that's making your life toxic? You know, if you really trusted the plan and the will of love for you, then anger would not be a thing that you'd be using to make toxic your own life and your relationships.
And when Anna says, if you really trusted,
Yeah.
what we're trying to learn under the new belief system is not to trust in the mate.
Yeah, no.
That's
no.
the trick.
Or the circumstances.
Or the job,
Right.
or the bank account, but trust in our source and creator.
Trust
no
love's
matter
plan.
what happens. And then that way your mate can do whatever they want to do. And if they do cheat,
it's for your own best interest.
It's for your own
it
best
releases
interest.
you.
Even if you can't see it right now, you're thinking, well, I don't want to lose this person. I love this person. Well,
so you thought.
Right. So you thought you loved somebody that didn't really respect you.
So was that really love?
Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly. Beautiful. Okay, we did a little bit of revealing there.
Yeah, we did.
But these are our friends.
Sorry, friends, that we're ratting out on you, but don't be afraid to share your stuff with us.
We didn't use
any names.
Exactly, and mostly we're talking about ourselves.
Yeah, and what we're sharing is stuff that happens all around the world all the time anyway.
Exactly. Truly, we are one mind. Truly, there's nothing that we've ever experienced that you haven't experienced, and that you haven't experienced that we haven't experienced. That we are truly one mind. All right.
So the ego always tries to preserve conflict
or the pattern. Okay. Now, our ego is very ingenious in devising ways that seem to diminish our pattern, because the ego doesn't want you to find your pattern or your conflict so intolerable that you will insist on giving that conflict, that pattern up. So the ego who's doing what? The ego is very ingenious in diminishing your conflict or your pattern, but it doesn't want you to insist on giving up the pattern or the problem. It just wants to numb you to your pattern. The ego just wants to diminish the pain of your problem so that you're numb.
The ego is very smart.
Ingenious.
It never wants you to connect the dots.
Don't want you to
that you're doing this to yourself.
Exactly.
Because if you did, you would stop doing it, and that would be the end of the ego.
And so the ego's ingenious at devising ways to diminish or to numb the pain of the conflict so that you don't go, this hurts, I'm done. What will it take? Oh, I have to take responsibility for this pain? Fine.
I can't blame it on Bob?
Fine.
Oh, man.
Fine, I'll do it because the pain is so great. The ego doesn't want the pain, you to experience the pain of your problem and your pattern so intensely that you insist on giving up that pattern. It wants to just kind of numb it down a little bit so that you're like, oh, whatever, it's all right. So that you don't insist on giving up the conflict, the pattern. So that you don't insist on going, this pain's coming from my projection, fine. I take full responsibility for this. This is what I am doing to myself, and I ask for the correction right now. The ego don't want you to do that. And so it's very ingenious in just numbing you out and diminishing, seeming to diminish the pain of the pattern that you're doing to yourself. Okay, so it says the ego is therefore trying to persuade you that the ego, can free you of your pattern, lest you give up the ego and free yourself. Okay, that's what the ego is up to. And the ego is very ingenious. Like Shahira says, I rationalized, and rationalized. That's what the ego does. It rationalizes why it doesn't really hurt that bad, why it's not big of a problem, why it's really okay. Oh, it doesn't really hurt. Oh, and I'm so distracted, or so drunk, or so whatever, that I don't even notice the pain. Okay? The ego is very ingenious at diminishing the conflict so that you don't go, this freaking hurts, and you're saying this is coming from my own projection. I'm done. I take full responsibility for this right now. Okay. Because when you take responsibility for it, you are freeing yourself, you are giving your ego up, and you're freeing yourself. And the ego does not want you to do that.
And Irene, of course, when you were asking earlier, what good does it do to forgive the cheater? And for most of us when we hear that is to forgive somebody that did something wrong.
Right.
And that's the real cruncher of A Course in Miracles, is nobody did anything wrong.
Right.
All they did was set you free.
Exactly.
And
yes.
so that forgiveness is to see it another way.
Like I'm projecting. That's a forget. He's like, instead of I forgive you for betraying me, you good, down, dirty dog.
Thank you.
Okay. What A Course in Miracles is advocating is I projected that. I have done that in my past, and I felt guilty for doing that, and I have not forgiven myself for doing that, and I believe I'm guilty for doing that, and that's why it showed up as a pattern in my life. That's what forgiveness really means.
And I ask for that.
And I ask for that.
If I can't see
Exactly.
it, even
I
if I
attracted
close
that.
my eyes for 90 seconds and tried to connect the dot, I couldn't.
Yes.
Even if I don't see the connection,
Exactly. I ask for that.
Ask for that.
I ask
Nobody
for that.
is a victim.
And nobody's victim. I am responsible for what I am experiencing. I am responsible for what I'm feeling, and everything that seems to be happening to me, I asked for, and I received it exactly as I asked, even if I don't see it.
And Sophia, you're right. The ego is a bitch, and the ego wants to make you its bitch.
Exactly. Okay. And so the ego is trying to persuade us that it can free us of this pattern, lest we give the ego up and free ourselves. So ego's like, ego don't want us to give up the ego. Ego just wants us to go, I can't believe they did what? Oh my God, you are entitled to some vengeance. I'll help you with this, Anna.
I got some good vengeance.
I've got the best vengeance. I'll help you with the vengeance, Anna. I can free you from your pain, Anna. Let me tell you how you can get vengeance, and you'll be free from your anger, Anna. You'll be free from your hurt. That's what the ego is all about. And using the ego's own warped version of the laws of mind, the laws of God, the ego is going to utilize the power of your mind only to defeat your mind's real purpose. How's the ego going to do that? It's going to project the conflict or the pattern from your mind to their minds in an attempt to persuade you that you've gotten rid of your pattern. That's not my pattern, that's their pattern. That's how the ego works. It's going to use the power, it's going to use the laws of the mind to convince you that you've gotten rid of your pattern, your problem of being betrayed, by projecting that pattern of betrayal onto them. They're the betrayer, they're the bad person, they're the bad, guilty person. And now I've gotten all my friends to agree with that. And so, hallelujah. It's not me that is the guilty person. It's them that are the betrayer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the betrayer. They're the betrayer.
Mm-hmm.
They're the cheater. I'm not the cheater. They're the cheater. And then that's the ego's goal, is to get you to use the laws of your mind to persuade you that you've gotten rid of your own guilt, and now it's in them.
Mm-hmm.
And the ego's like, yes.
And so the seed remains in the ground.
Yeah, baby.
We haven't gotten rid of the source.
Yes.
When we're operating under the belief system of the
yes,
ego.
Exactly. And now the ego has preserved the pattern.
Right.
And that's the ego's one goal. Preserve the conflict. That's the ego's one goal. Preserve the problem, preserve the pattern, preserve the conflict. Don't get rid of it. Don't heal it by taking responsibility for it and forgiving it in yourself. Don't do that. Keep the pattern, keep the problem going by projecting it onto them.
Yeah, doesn't that anger feel good? Doesn't that hate feel good?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that upset feel good? Doesn't that fear and being scared feel good?
Yeah.
So keep it going.
Exactly.
So this week when we get angry or upset or feeling vulnerable, this week when that starts happening, how about we remember to say to ourselves, even if we don't understand it right away, do I want to preserve this anger?
Yeah.
I'm angry now. Do I want to preserve it?
Do you want to
Do I
preserve
wanna
it? Do
keep
you want
it
more
going?
of it?
Do I want more of it? Sure, maybe it'll go away today, but because I wasn't willing to deal with the source of it, I just asked for it again, and maybe it'll show up 2 days later from now, maybe 2 weeks later, whenever. And every time it's the same story. When it happened, I'm going to think it coming to me and it happened to me. And then what happened? I get angry all over again.
And it's worse.
And I plant more seeds of anger again. And then in the future, it's going to show up. And that's how the ego preserves its life.
Preserves the conflict.
Plant some more of me. Plant some more of me so I can live tomorrow.
Exactly.
Rather than us realizing what's going on and saying, you know what? I think I'm going to pull the ego up, not cut it off at above the ground. I'm going to pull it up from underneath the ground where the source is, from the root of this problem, so that I'm not going to be angry in a week or two from now. Because, and like I told my friend this last week, when you plant something different in the ground, plant something different.
Really different.
Give that cheating person something that would blow their mind.
That would be really different.
Yeah, and some love. Because if you give them some love, not only are you going to now turn the tide, you're going to turn the entire ship around for yourself. You actually, even though you don't think they deserve it, you actually turn it around for them.
Exactly.
And they deserve it as much as you, to get out of this loop.
Exactly. And if you were taking responsibility for what you were experiencing, like the Course in Miracles says to do, I am responsible for what I'm experiencing. If you were to take responsibility for your anger and realize that I am angry because I'm projecting what I have done and not forgiven myself for, then it would be gone. It would be gone. And you would be, all right. If you were perceiving correctly, not only would you not be angry, but you would recognize that this was your Savior. This is the universe coming to give you the freedom and the joy and the love that you do deserve, but that you were depriving yourself of. You know, in that relationship where your friend walked in on someone who was cheating on you with a family member, then, you know, if you were perceiving correctly, it would be like, that person was my Savior. If you're perceiving correctly, all you'll see is your Savior, a gift. So anger is always us hiding from ourselves our greatest gratitude, our greatest reason for gratitude. That's what anger is doing. Here is my greatest reason for gratitude. Here's my Savior come to free me from how I've been depriving myself, but I don't recognize that. And instead, I'm projecting my anger instead.
Because when your Savior shows up in the form of cheating,
betrayal,
you don't realize that they're showing up with really a platter.
Yes,
a
gift.
An empty platter.
Freedom.
And the platter, you get to decide. It's real tempting to put some anger on that platter.
Oh, yeah.
So you can have some more for, you know, when you get that midnight craving tonight, you can get some more of that anger out to eat.
Yes.
Or they show up and you realize, oh, I see what's going on here. You know what? I don't like this way this feels, and I don't want any more of that. So I'm going to refuse it.
Exactly. And so what I want, so let's see. So
while you're reading,
okay, great. So while Greg is fixing something, what I really want you to hear, and what I really want you to hear, and what I want you to remember is this: because this is what I want to remember, is that anger means projection. Okay, so real simple. Anger means projection. Anger means projection. Anger means projection. Anger means projection. Okay, so that and we want to say it over, so that next time we experience anger, that we go, oh, because I said it so many times, now that I'm experiencing anger, I heard projection. This anger is projection. My anger is projection. My anger is projection. What am I projecting? My anger is projecting. What am I projecting? And so to work it like that, because that is the only way that you will break that connection between anger and projection. It's the only way to cure the anger and the projection. It's the only way to break the pattern. If every time you get angry, you keep on projecting and you don't take responsibility for that anger, it just means that the pattern and the anger and the conflict just keeps on going. But if you don't want that pattern to keep going, then when you feel the anger, you got to go, this anger is projecting. What am I projecting? You know?
Before.
Yeah.
What have I projected before?
Exactly. What am I projecting on? I'm mad because they did blah, 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 blah. Oh, really? Okay. Now, have you ever done that before? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have. I have done that before. And did you forgive yourself when you did that? No. Oh, I gave myself so much guilt. And then I hid it, and then I hid it, and then I projected it. All right.
Or did you want to shoot yourself with the double barrel shotgun?
Yes, I did.
No, I was merciful
right.
on myself. I gave myself all kinds of reasons why I did it.
Right, exactly.
Of course, because they behaved that way and they did that
exactly.
and they treated me like that. You know, I shouldn't have done it. But of course, there's all these, as she was saying earlier, rationalize.
Right, exactly. And when I'm angry at somebody, what if I was to say to myself, I'm projecting onto them that they are responsible for how I feel about myself. How I feel about myself is my choice. How I feel about myself has nothing to do with them. But my anger is I'm projecting responsibility for how I feel about myself onto them. That's projection. But if I wasn't projecting onto them responsibility for my happiness, I wouldn't be angry.
Good point.
They are not responsible for my happiness. They're not responsible for whether I feel lovable and loving. And so if I wasn't projecting onto them responsibility for how I felt, then there would be no anger. There'd be gratitude. Thank you for showing that to me. Thank you for revealing that to me.
Thank you for showing me that I made an idol out of you.
Yes.
And I started worshiping you for my happiness.
Which means thank you for showing me that I wasn't loving myself. I didn't see myself as loving and lovable. Thank you very much. I really, I wasn't aware of that. Thank you. So in that case, gratitude replaces anger. Okay, beautiful. So it's 8:21.
Yes.
So maybe we'll stop there.
All right.
And we did a whopping 2 paragraphs.
We did 2 paragraphs.
Amazing. Out of
7.
Okay.
So that, boys and girls, that's your homework assignment, is to read the remaining 5 paragraphs when you get a chance.
Yes.
Because we just barely touched the surface of the subject here.
I know. But we actually went deep into...
And you guys went deep.
You guys went deep. We
us.
went deep into anger is projection. Anger means projection. And that's very important because it says the ego's use of projection must be fully understood before the inevitable association between projection and anger can be finally undone. So what we just talked about was very, 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 very important toward the goal of not preserving the pattern.
Right.
The patterns that we're so angry at, that we don't realize are our patterns. When our patterns show up, we get so angry.
Yep, our patterns.
Yeah, our patterns show up and we're like, oh my God, all men are blah, blah, blah. And our patterns show up, oh, women are such and such. You know, our patterns show up and we get angry. This is teaching us how to set it up where when our patterns come up, we don't get angry and thus preserve or continue our pattern. When our pattern shows up and we feel the anger, instead of just projecting that anger, we take responsibility for it, which does what? It ends the pattern, which ends the anger. So, pretty valuable.
Pretty valuable.
Pretty valuable. Very valuable. All right. So, Tricia says, what's your Venmo so I can make a donation for class? Thank you for asking. If you would like to make a financial expression of appreciation for our class, then you can go to Venmo or Zelle or PayPal and just put in my email address, annakujawa1.com, or Greg's email address.
No, don't complicate it.
Okay, no, don't complicate. Okay, great. And thank you for your loving financial expressions of appreciation for this class. Also, I love it. Demi says, deep dive, patterns show up, dispel anger, take responsibility. You got it. Thank you so much. Hi, Laura. Lovely to see you. Greg Wallace, Jerry Savage. Welcome. Thank you for joining our Course in Miracles Healing Circle. We appreciate you so much. Also, so Sundays we do...
Thank you, Tricia.
Thank you, Tricia, for saying that.
And hey, I was just having a thought today. I haven't shared it with Anna, but I was wondering if we came to Palisade, if that yoga studio you have is cat-free, because Anna has a cat allergy. And maybe we could come to Palisade for a day or two, and we're timing around the classes and doing a class from there.
Like beautiful.
Like we've done before. Hang out in a hot tub, eat some good food, taught some good course.
We had so much fun with Tricia and Chris when we went to Palisade and did some great classes. We had so much fun.
I love it.
And Tricia told me that she kept her massage yoga studio cat-free for us.
Yay!
So, all right. So, we're coming on down, Tricia.
We'll start making some plans.
She says, yes, it's cat-free. Come here.
Yeah.
I love it. So Greg and I do Sunday, Facebook, 7 p.m., Transforming Relationships Through A Course in Miracles. Monday, I do Practical and Healing Applications of A Course in Miracles on Facebook, 7 p.m., in person at the Rocky Mountain Miracle Center. So if you are in Denver and you would like to come for a live in-person Course in Miracles class, come to the Rocky Mountain Miracle Center, Monday, 7 p.m. It's also on Facebook. And then Tuesdays, like tonight, 7 p.m. on Facebook. And also, if you are somebody who is looking for some psychotherapeutic support, but from a Course in Miracles perspective, or you know somebody who could use that, then check out my website, annakujawa.com, and learn about my holistic counseling practice, Miracle Psychotherapeutics, and text my number that you find on my website or on Messenger and let me know and we'll set something up, okay? All right. Tricia says, come on down to the orchard. Yeah, and if you are somebody who's watching from Palisade and you're looking for some Course in Miracles gatherings, then let us know. Reach out to Tricia Sproles, who's here on our thing.
Yeah, anywhere around Grand Junction.
Exactly. Beautiful. All right.
That sounds like a song. Come on down to the orchard.
For some miracles.
And it's cat-free.
And it's cat-free. Have you been suffering too long from your anger? And you want to be free? All right. You guys are so amazing. We so appreciate your using your very precious time and energy to join this healing circle. If you feel so motivated and inspired, share this class on your Facebook page, and so that more people can hear these loving, release from anger, release from guilt ideas.
All right.
Okay, love you guys.
Love you guys.
See you next class.
See you when we do.